Hello everyone, this is a preview video of GearScore 4.0. The add-on isn't complete and there are some features that we have decided not to release to the public just yet and have turned those features off for this video. This version of GearScore was completely written from scratch to be the most powerful add-on ever created for World of Warcraft. Let me be clear about something. GearScore doesn't judge a player, and in fact it never will. GearScore only provides information about a character and it's up to the player using it to come to their own conclusion. That being said, we felt the previous version of GearScore didn't do a very good job of displaying all the relevant information, and that players using the add-on would often rely on only a very small portion of the overall picture. GearScore 4 fixes this problem by making the information more visible and located in a single location. This will force players to not rely solely on the scoring portion of the add-on and view other important aspects of another character. This information is compiled and displayed in a much more efficient manner than the default UI, so even players who disagree with the idea of gear scoring will find this add-on useful. GearScore 4 at its core is an expansion of the default inspection UI. Simply inspect any player to begin using the add-on. In older versions of GearScore, the scoring was instant, but because it was instant, it couldn't include gems and talents into its calculation. The instant scoring has been removed to provide a much more accurate number, but comes at a cost of a 1 to 2 second delay in scanning. In addition, the scan may take longer depending on the equipment they are wearing. Equipment is stored in your item cache so you can view it quicker the next time you see it, but with reforging in the game, the item isn't always the same anymore and may take a moment to query the item from the server. Once the inspection is complete, you will be shown the summary page of this player. This page shows you a compilation of information about the character. The first thing you might notice is the scores. GearScore 4 includes the GearScore you all know and love, but also provides scores on additional items that we believe make up a character. These scores don't represent the player is better or worse in any way, but they do tell you the overall experience of the player. For example, if you see a player in a bad talent spec, but they have a very small amount of raid or quest and achievement score, then you can safely assume the player is a new player. Don't insult them, give them some pointers, and help them learn their class. On the other hand, if you find a player in a really bad spec or gems and has a very high level of experience, then this player may have been carried, was using an out-of-date spec, or perhaps they're just bad. Below the scores, you'll find the information section. This section will show you the spec and talents of a player, the name of their guild, and the rank in that guild. Most guilds will list their alts as alt rank in the guild, which will help you see if the player is an alt in the guild, or perhaps maybe they're an officer or class reader. You'll also see the player rating. Here, you can rate a player positively or negatively, and these ratings will be shared with other players on your server. There are built-in measures to prevent abuse, but these values should still be taken with a grain of salt. Next, you'll find the rating difficulty chart. This chart is a good way to view, based on gear level, what instances a player should be looking to run. The chart will change to show different instances that are relative to that player, such as a new level 80 in low level gear. We'll see Nax listed here. The rating progression will show you the top 2 levels of rating a player has progressed in. And finally, below that, you will find the status section. New flags are being added to this section constantly, so you may see more in the final version than in this video. These flags aren't making judgments on a player, but instead pointing out things that people universally agree increases or decreases a player's performance. For example, no matter how good you are without your gear enchanted, the truth is that if you enchanted your gear, you would be even better. So the add-on will point out unenchanted equipment a player is wearing because this player isn't offering 100% performance. Other things that will appear here include missing gems, missing talents, missing belt buckle, PvP gear, inappropriate gear, missing gear, and many more. The primary stats section is a list of stats that a player's equipment is granting them. The stats chosen for display are based on the overarching role of a character's spec. For example, a DK is a melee DPS class, so it will still show agility here, even though a DK should be gearing for strength. These values only represent bonuses from gear and are a way for you to see if a player is perhaps stacking a specific stat too much, or perhaps not enough. Lastly on this screen is a picture of the toon which you can rotate and the items the character is wearing. When you mouse over these items, you'll see 2 scores. One score is the value to you, and the other is the value to the player you're inspecting. GearScore always calculates your talents into the calculations now, so items will have different values to different players. The Equipment tab is a detailed look at a player's equipment. It will list all their equipment, show you the item level and gear score of each item, along with the gems and enchantments. This is a great way to make sure players gemming and enchanting their items correctly without having to manually look at every item a player has on. The Talents tab will give you a quick readout of a player's talents. We believe this format is more efficient than the default talent tree view, as many players remember the names of talents better than their icons and locations in the tree. If you find a player is using a bad talent, you can right-click the name of the talent, and that talent will be marked negatively for this class and spec. The next time the add-on encounters this talent, then it will be flagged in the status section on the summary page. You can also mark talents that you think are essential as positive. You can also do this to gems and enchantments on the equipment page. This functionality allows you to be elitist or unelitist as you desire, without the add-on directly enforcing cookie-cutter builds. The Experience tab will show you a player's experience. Now this section looks unfinished because the Cataclysm data isn't available to the add-on yet. Instances are colored red to green to show you the level of progression in that raid, and you can click on each raid name for detailed counts of boss kills. This completes the preview of GearScore 4. We hope we have excited you with its new features and welcome you to download the add-on starting December 7th on GearScoreAddon.com.